We took a lot of feedback from last year and might particularly looking at the program. So I'm sure it's going to be absolutely wonderful, and I'm pretty excited about it. If there's one or two burning questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, have a good read of the email tomorrow, and I'm always on the end of an email or a phone. Yes, we're restricted to about 32 plus instructors. That gives 4 groups of 8. Any bigger than that, it makes it too hard for one instructor, yeah. But with having the 3 days, we're hoping this year to have a whole day out in the field with packed lunch, so that we don't have to rush backwards and forwards all the time, yeah. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thanks, Shirley. It's a great place to go for a restful few days. Like not. Right. Now, thank you. Now we're going to have the MDC, and who's doing that now? Dennis is doing the MDC. Oh, sorry. Who's doing it? Oh, John Hawkins. Oh, you are. Okay, righto.
Well, that was fantastic. I mean, one thing that I feel about that is everybody seems got a unique idea about what's unique, and that's what's great about MDCs, I think. Congratulations to everybody, especially the those who come top 10. And is Pip here tonight? No? Okay, so Hannah, come on. Would you like to talk a little bit about your image? And then you don't have to. Just take a little bit. I'm sorry.
I was working with barcodes for work, and I thought that is unique. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. Thanks very much. And don't go away yet.
Oh.
Right, you've got to pick the topic for.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Excuse me, when you get to my age, you need glasses, all right? Right, a number between 1 and 7, please.
6.
A number between 1 and 13, please.
29.
Okay, the topic for next month, MDC, is tranquil.
Oh, that's really similar to February. Okay.
Got that, right?
Cool.
Anyway,
Tranquil.
Iterations, well done. Okay. John?
Thank you, Dennis. Now, next on the list is our competition critique and the results of PI number 1. Now, John Hawkins will introduce this and Nicola will read out.
Thank you, John. Sorry, John. Our judge tonight is Paul Daly. I think quite a few people here will know Paul, been to his classes at Hagley Community College. Paul is a Christchurch-based commercial and travel photographer working across corporate, event, school, architecture and editorial photography. Paul is an NZIPP Master with Distinction and a 2-time Cathay Pacific Travel Photographer of the Year. So he's got some pretty good credentials behind him. He's got 23 years of experience in community and tertiary education. Paul is equally passionate about teaching. He has led countless field trips, and we'll get to one of those in a minute, weekend workshops and international photo tours to Nepal, Turkey, Cuba, and the Arctic. He's inspiring photographers to expand both their skills and their sense of adventure. That was a very short critique by Paul. There's quite a lot more you could put in there, but that will do for tonight. But one thing he has asked us to do is to give a little bit of an insight into his tours, and he's got an Arctic Circle tour coming up soon. And if people are interested, they can find this on his website. I'll turn these lights here off. And I can't read. I can. So if you've always wanted to explore the jagged mountain landscapes of Norway, oh, that's fine, the Norway archipelago, Lofton, or the vastness of Swedish Lapland, all with a bit of aurora hunting thrown in for good measure, and while experiencing the total unique adventure of winter travel and photography. You can see the information at the bottom of the screen. If anybody is interested a bit more, I can give you the details. Tonight, Nicola will read through the 42 images. I'll leave it to her.
Just testing. Yep. I'm ready when you are. Score 1, a peek into the wetlands of Thompson's Lake Nature Reserve. This is a little too dark. Maybe a tighter crop could have helped. Maybe even losing the sticks in the foreground, and also the image is dark with a real lack of detail. The Janie Seddon shipwreck. This is an interesting angle, but it needs more interesting light and darkened a little. Maybe a black and white conversion might help this particular image. Have to remember with drone shots that all the things that make regular photographs good also apply to drone images. You can't rely on the different perspective alone to carry the image. Tucked away. This image lacks a point of focus, and the various colour balances and intensifiers are a little bit jarring. Score 1, sunrise at Brighton Pier. Possibly a tighter crop is required, but it also has halos down all the pillars, suggesting some strong slider movements when processing the image. The bright area bottom right is also distracting and it needs some attention. Score 1, naughty boys. It's a bit hard to know what is going on in this image, and it feels like the photographer is using the technique just for the sake of using it. Finding an image that suits the technique is probably a good start. Rest in peace, score 2. Really interesting conditions in the seascape, but there are some strange halos around some of the man-made elements. Score 2, morning commute in Seville. A nice conversion to black and white. Cropping could be a bit tighter to bring emphasis onto the subject. Score 2, bat. Interesting composition, but wonder what it would have been like to have seen the full bat and what they're hanging from, and maybe moving a little to the left so you have a squarer angle on it. Score 2, Mount Iron, Wanaka. No real point of focus. A lot of sky with good contrast in the clouds, but that dominates, meaning you spend a lot of time looking at the sky and not the landscape below. Bold, metallic, and hippie, organic. Interesting texture of the juxtaposed elements, a nice conversion to black and white, but the clouds merge into the foreground elements, which means the image isn't as striking as it could be. Calligraphy in the air. Almost, but not quite. Good sharpness in the objects, with just enough blur to create a great sense of movement, but the one person at the back is just not positioned very well, which really brings the image down. Unfortunately, this happens a lot when photographing groups of people, so looking at your shooting position is imperative to getting a successful result. Raindrop on a rose. Interesting colour within the image, but the droplet is a little lost. A closer angle maybe allow for interesting reflections in the droplet. Evening chapel. Interesting angle and treatment, but might be almost a little overdone with the blacks blocking up a bit. I've got it. Good potential with the subject, but shooting position needs to be looked at so we can get a better story of what is going on. Old Pack Horse Bridge, Carbridge in Scotland. Interesting subject and light. However, the composition doesn't quite work. Foreground rocks on the left-hand side are a little distracting, and the bridge merging with the background trees. Future champions. Nice and sharp. An 8th light is great, but the photographer's position and subsequent composition needs to be looked at. Plus a tighter crop would help the image. Yellow evening and stone art. Nice light on the subject. The horizon needs straightening. Some foreground bright leaves are a little distracting, as are the people on the bench in the background. Some small movements and changes in the photographer's position would make quite a difference to the resulting image. Instep. Nice timing on the horses, not so much on the horseman. Maybe change the title to Headless Horseman to make it seem more purposeful. Plus, there are some halos around the back of the front of the horse, which suggests some over-ambitious slider corrections. African elephant grazing, nice and sharp image, but almost too close to the subject or not close enough. A slightly wider shot would give the sense of the size of the animal, or a close crop of the face could be an interesting option. Tail end. Well seen, but the time of the day when the image was shot doesn't help the image. Maybe a conversion to black and white would be an easy fix. Stone ruins along the Nevis Road. Position needs to be looked at as it creates a composition where the building merges into the background hills. The old stone buildings have been masked and lightened up to try and create some contrast with the hills. However, the masking isn't precise enough, and we can see the overlap of the correction to the background. Scotland. It's a nice S-curve, and it leads the viewer through the image, but the lighting is flat and the time of day now ideal. Maybe a reposition closer to the river would help the overall image, but better light would really help. A Kia portrait. Nice portrait of the Kia with good sharpness. This is an acceptance, by the way, except on the feathers on the right-hand side, which distracts from the image's impact. Could also benefit from a little more contrast. Spiky. Can't see any comments on that one. Yep, 1 AM, yep. Fortuitous flight path. Great placement of the aeroplane between the chimney stacks. Really nice colour palette. But it feels like the processing has gone a step too far with some things going on around the airplane and the tops of the chimneys. Working against the elements. Interesting compositional contrast between the crashing waves and the pier behind. Good use of shutter speed to freeze the waves. Not sure about the colour toning, plus the brightness of the waves in the foreground means your eyes always come back to rest at the foreground and not the main subject of the pier. Projected image past and present. Nice colour palette and an interesting juxtaposition of the subject's traditional dress against the modern tech of the mobile phone. Dancers on the pier. Interesting use of motion in the image. The blue is fundamental to the image, but there is also a little too much space on the right-hand side. So maybe repositioning yourself when photographing to the right a little to impoverished the angles. I think it means improvised the angle. Don't know what that word is, sorry. Impoverished, I don't know. Running and chasing in the dust. Great positioning of the elements within the form. Might want to try a slightly tighter crop. The strut. Nice and sharp image. To take things further, maybe a composition with the rooster looking into the camera. And the bright area to the top right should be brought under control. Remember, your eye will always travel to the brightest part of the image. Never too old to have fun. Nice and sharp, nice dynamic composition, and great expression on the person that we can see. But an alternative position may allow to see both faces. Grey warbler perching in a small patch of the bush near Te Anau. This is pin sharp. Just needs a bit more blacks in the processing, and the digital noise needs a little bit of attention. Kylemore Abbey in Ireland. Nice reflective landscape image. Greens may be a little oversaturated, plus a slightly lower camera position would have allowed for the bottom of the building reflection to be retained in the image. Time tunnel. There's no critiques with that one. High acceptance, waiting his time. Strong composition, the horizon's not level. Strong action shot, it's pin sharp, but not overly original, which is what is required to take things to the higher levels. Marginal horizon straighten should be considered. Morning dew, a strong macro shot with sharpness in all the right places and a nice colour palette. Possibly looking for a stronger element in the background that then gets refracted into the water droplet. Evening light. It's good use of colours, original treatment of the subject, pleasing colour palette with an interesting composition of the solid man-made objects, anchoring the image and softening the upper cloud elements. Mountain violets. Nice flower image with great sharpness on all the important parts, except it loses a little sharpness on the lower right, which seems considering we have it on all of the other petals. Don't know what he means. Possibly a slightly lower angle would give a better view into the flowers. Score 5. Instills an emotional reaction, fantastic reflective landscape image with nice composition using the reflection, with a subtle toning effect adding to the overall impact of the image. 2 things to take it to the next level, maybe slightly out of balance, and the smallest crop on the right hand side might help. Plus, the blacks are very blocked up in the foliage on the waterline. Airbrushed. Instills an emotional reaction. Wonderful use of movement within the image, really helps the abstractness of this image. The climb. Good use of cropping, strong composition, really strong reflection shot that works very well with the subject matter. Would be looking for an Easter egg, such as a person on the top step, to take it to the next level. And score 6, dramatic confluence. Good use of cropping, instills an emotional reaction, and it's an original treatment of the subject. It's a very impactful abstract image with a thoughtful crop that plays with the mind as you work to understand exactly what you are looking at. Nice use of shutter speed to introduce the right amount of blur to the subject. Congratulations.
Diana, would you like to join me? Right, so we've got 20 images were accepted, which is around about 50%, which is a pretty good outcome. Can you hear me? Yep. So the first acceptance, yes, it was the Care, and it's by Dawn Kirk. Sorry? All right. Next one was Spiky by Nerily Keating. The next one was Fortuitous Flight Path by Rach Evans. Yeah. And our next acceptance was Working Against the Elements by Jan Bogue. And our next acceptance was Projected Image Past and Present by Alistair Phillips. And our next one is Dances on the Pier by Raywin Wright. I don't believe Raywin's here. And then we have Running and Chasing in the Dust by Anne Yuan. The Strut by Hannah Rice. And we have, the next one is Never Too Old to Have Fun by Desmond No. Right, we've got The Grey Warbler, Perching a Small Patch of Bush in Netiana with Judy Kirk. Then we have Kylemore Abbey in Ireland by Sandra McCall. The next one is Time Tunnel by John Thornton. And the first high acceptance is Waiting is Time by Les Amon. And the next one is Morning Dew by Alan Moore. Next high acceptance is Evening Light by Penny Kennedy. You can keep that one. Oh, that's the wrong one. And the next high acceptance is Mountain Violets by Shirley Wilson. Now we move to the honours. Chill Trees by Paul Williams. The next honours is Airbrushed by Janie McIver. And the next honours is The Climb by Nola Summer. And our best in show and honours is The Dramatic Confluence by Maxine Cooper. Thank you very much. I'd just like to say a few words about the actual open projected image competition. We are looking for a secretary, or two secretaries really, as a backup. It was mentioned by Ian last week. The process to run this competition is not complicated. We've streamlined the process quite a bit. We have a laptop which is available to the person or people that pick up the secretary's role, and it's loaded with a worksheet and a Word document which helps to produce the certificates that you see tonight. So we would like to get somebody, or two people preferable, to pick up this role. And if you come and see me, we can work out a time when we can look at how we can do a handover of that process. Like I say, it's not a difficult task. There are 8 for the year, so it doesn't mean you have to be on the ball to get all 8 complete in time, but it's not actually that difficult. So please put your hand up and come and see me. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for all those who entered that competition. Fantastic to see. Amazing how much black and white's coming back. Next competition, closing date for CPS is the due February the 25th, the PI number 2, projected image. Is that right? Sorry? Sorry, it closes tonight, yes. Yeah. At 11:59. Next meeting, next week, we have 7 o'clock, we have a creative program by Heidi, and 8 o'clock, we have Craig Perkins speaking about portraits. Well, thank you very much for everyone. For opening and closing, we have Alistair and Chris, and sound and projection, Alistair, Andrew. Thanks for the for Shirley for the video there. Well, that should be quite good. And supper coordinator, Chris, well done, thank you. And John Hawkins and Nicola for the competition. And thank you, Diana, for giving out the certificates. Next, that's all we have to do tonight, I think. Yeah, it is. And we invite you here next week. And good night and safe trip home. Thank you.